Well, the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality is under strict lockdown regulations. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced last night that the municipality is a COVID hotspot. The numbers of infections and deaths have risen in the municipality in recent weeks. ETV reporter Natalie Malgas is in Port Elizabeth. A very good morning to you, Natalie. Major news for the Eastern Cape and Port Elizabeth as we head into the festive season. What has the reaction been like, and just how bad are things?
That's right, Nandi. So, the next few days we're expecting this massive holiday migration of holiday makers, festive revelers, and of course people who call the Eastern Cape home expected to return for the festive season and for the big days. But there's a fresh spin to all of the festivities given how serious the situation is here, the coronavirus situation. The infections are climbing, the public health is losing capacity to be able to handle the large volumes of people presenting for treatment. I have with me Professor Fikile Nomvete of the Nelson Mandela University to elaborate a little further just how big a deal things are getting here in the Bay and in this region. Prof, what is driving these the numbers here in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro?
Well, what is observed is the relaxed social behavior that is around the various residential areas. And what we've also observed amongst the areas of entertainment. And this is, we find that the greater part of the people who actually frequent these areas are the young people. And so they go and they have been involved and engaged in much more relaxed social behaviors. And we've noticed as well that with the relaxation of the alcohol regulations, when we move down to level 1 of the lockdown, that then people consumed more and they frequented these social spaces more, and more of these people were the young people. And then, as we know, that with the alcohol consumption at a certain level, then we notice there's some disinhibitions. And we've seen lots of videos going viral on social media in areas such as the one that we are positioned at right now, where people do not observe any social or what we would rather call physical distancing. And we've also observed as well in the community transport that people are not wearing masks. So this is a thing that has really driven it here. And I think, having been in other geographical areas in the country, the Nelson Mandela Bay, and in particular the Port Elizabeth area, it clearly displayed a lot of relaxation amongst the community. So it really has been an issue of the social behavior that drove this sudden surge.
Prof, you also mentioned it cannot be ignored that this western block of the Eastern Cape and the eastern block of the Western Cape, by geography, they lie quite closely together, and that's why the numbers look almost similar.
Yes, I think this is an issue of what one would call a neighboring effect in a way. That with the Garden Route and the George area is just a couple of hours away from Port Elizabeth. And it is not an infrequent finding that people who work there in the George area and even in the Knysna areas, and Plettenberg certainly, that they come from the western part of the Eastern Cape, very closely to the Mandela Bay. So with the geographical migration that is so easy, and the intimacy geographically between the two regions, it is unsurprising that we're seeing that the numbers are also increasing there too. Yeah.
Just lastly, Prof, the President also mentioned restrictions around the initiation season, particularly here in the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. He mentioned this isn't a punishment, but that couldn't have been an easy call to make given the cultural significance.
It was never going to be an easy call to make by anyone. And I think you can only answer this matter by raising more questions, in the sense that you have to ask yourself, what comes first? Does culture come first before human life? And if we preserve a human life, would we be able to then propagate culture? And I tend to favor the latter, that if we preserve human life, we will then be able to then propagate culture at a later stage. I think this is a culture that, as closer people we strongly believe in, and many other African cultural groups believe in, and purely because of the significance it plays. But we must one has to ask himself, why must it be linked to the age of 18? Because we hear people discussing, saying, no, but my son is going to be 19 years if we close this year and we only open next year. But I mean, one wonders, why is it linked to age? This culture is older than the calendar as we know it today. And one must ask himself, before we have the calendar that we should have now, which is only 400 years old, the calendar that we have, before that, 500 years ago, was there an age limit to this? And if we appreciate that, we may just realize, say that maybe we could wait, because we must remember as well that there have been some morbidities associated with the initiation. So and some morbidities even requiring ICU care. So if we do get those morbidities and we've got our ICUs full with COVID, where may we address these comorbidities? And it's not so much that the initiation may necessarily be related with the COVID infection, and that is also possible, depending on how the initiation schools will be set up. But we need to remember that if there is a health issue coming out from the initiation school, then we may realize that we will not have a bed space in the hospitals, and this is a big challenge.
Thank you very much, Professor Nomvete from the Nelson Mandela University. Nandi, very big questions and real responsibilities that now don't only lie in the public health or the private health sector, it lies with every single person here in the region. It's a personal responsibility. It's COVID protocols we have to take seriously. The health officials here are saying the battle against COVID-19 is not going to be fought and won in the hospitals. It's going to be fought and won in our communities, in our streets, and in our personal spaces where we're adhering to these very necessary protocols.
All right, thank you very much, Natalie Malgas out in Port Elizabeth, which has been declared a COVID-19 hotspot.